we have finally hit the final stop on the road to Backlash. We have the April 18th, 2002 Smackdown. Not just Smackdown's go home to Backlash, but the go home to Backlash period. Tro, how you doing?
Are you sure we're not reviewing the 2005 episode of SmackDown here?
Yeah, that's a little joke from our Met
Well, I mean,
recap.
I think you still have the title. It's 2005 recap.
Yeah, the Met recap for yesterday, I somehow screwed it up and put it as May 2005. Uh, I don't know how that happened, but that's on me. Yeah.
You had the two. You had the 2005 season on your mind.
But yeah, so tonight we are going to cover the go home to Backlash, and tomorrow we will be back here to cover Backlash itself. I'm very excited to cover that show. It was the first home video purchase I ever made of a WWE pay per view, so I'm extremely excited to cover this show. Like I said on yesterday's review, I've been watching this show since I was like 10 years old. I've seen it a million times, and I cannot wait
Now,
to go over that. But go ahead. What are you gonna say?
now, who's on the call for Backlash this Sunday?
I believe isn't it both?
No,
If it's
just
not
it's King.
both,
It's
it's
King
it's
and
Jr. and King. Yeah,
yeah.
because I definitely remember
So
Jr. and King.
so you're telling me that Taz and Michael Claw are good enough to call Backlash? Are you
They're not.
damn?
Um, so this is the April 18th, 2002 edition of SmackDown, and well, when it kicked off, I got freaking PSTD to our Road to Unforgiven series because this show kicks off with a 6-man tag match.
Oh,
That being said, this 6-man tag match is not as random as some of the 6-man tag matches we were getting at the
are you
beginning.
telling me Canyon in a 6-man tag match is not is random?
Yeah,
Who
they
better?
weren't as random. This one wasn't as random as some of those Road to Unforgiven '01 6-man tag matches that they opened up with. That being said, to open up a go home show to a pay per view with a match, I don't agree with this. But with that being said, the match itself wasn't that bad, and at least this match had something going. There was build for this match. There's a reason why we are having this 6-man match, and this 6-man match in question is Billy and Chuck with Rico and Tro in their corners, teaming with Albert to take on Maven.
Maven, even he has
Even
a match.
even Maven has a match for Sunday at
And
Backlash.
on SmackDown. Oh boy.
Yeah, well, Jericho has a match later tonight, so
The bar's down
Maven.
that low. Of course, Jericho has a match.
Maven is teaming with Al Snow and Rikishi, and the reason why Albert and Rikishi are in this match is because if you don't remember our review a couple days ago where we reviewed the SmackDown prior to this, Albert put a beating on his former tag team partner Scotty 2 Hotty, and Rikishi ran in and chased Albert away. So that is why Albert and Rikishi are in this 6-man tag. The 6-man tag itself, I thought it was a really interesting match to kick off the show. The crowd was into it, and in the end, Maven won with a diving crossbody on Chuck to get the pin. 1, 2, 3. Rico did a quick run in and got stopped by Al Snow right before this happened. Um, After the match, Albert stood over Rikishi. Rikishi was on the outside, and Albert is out there standing over him. You would think that Albert won the match, but yeah, Albert. I guess they're trying to build something to Albert and Rikishi, but I don't think we ever see a pay per view match there. I know that I think they face each other on one of the UK shows in that year,
Probably.
but we don't see
Probably
them obviously.
Insurrection.
Yeah, maybe. I thought it was Rebellion though. I think they face that
Whatever
Rebellion.
the next UK show is, because I think that's like the actual last WWF pay per view that they do.
Yeah, that's the that is the Insurrection show,
Yeah.
which has the road to the plane ride to hell. I almost called it the road to hell,
Oh
which I
boy,
guess it kind of was for
we ain't
some
doing a road.
people.
We ain't doing a fucking road to that show.
Well, it's a UK pay per view. There is no road to it, so And me and Christian have covered it before, so yeah, a decent match, a good way to kick off show. I gave it 3.5. What are your thoughts, Tro, on this opening 6 man?
Hey guys, Maven here, and I won this match with a crossbody. Can you believe I actually have a match on Backlash? And Chris
Even
Jericho
Maven.
Chris Jericho, who main evented WrestleMania last month, doesn't. Oh boy,
Yeah, well, there you go.
there you go.
That's all you got for it is
It
just
was
that
a good. It was a good match. Good opening 6 man tag.
uh now the show picks up. Hey, we're picking up right away. How about this? We have the extremely beautiful Stacy Keibler walking backstage. She ends up at Hulk Hogan's dressing room door. She knocks on it. She's holding a bottle of water at this point, and she drops the top to the bottle of water, turns around, obviously, and you get what's going on here. She bends over to picks it up. Hogan opens the door, just so happens to open the door as this is going on, and his reaction is to say, "Ouch." Stacy Keibler turns around, is extremely upset about what just happened. Well, not extremely upset, but she's a little offended by Hogan checking her out like that, which is very funny because
Just
of how what Stacy's gonna be doing of a lot of that herself in this episode. But Stacy tells Hogan that Mr. McMahon wants him in his office, Mr. McMahon's office, right now. Hogan says that should be good. I'll follow you. They walk to McMahon's office. I mean, not much really to say about this segment here. It was just to set up the McMahon wants you in his office, and
yeah.
the have Stacy bend over and Hogan open up. They could have done without that, but yeah, not much to say about this segment. But what are your thoughts on it?
Hogan's like, God damn it, Stacy, you spilled. Damn it, sister, you spilled water over my goddamn dressing room. God, this is a carpeted dressing room. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, they weren't in the dressing room; they were
Yeah,
at the door.
you spilled water all over my boots. You know how long this is gonna take? I got a match tonight. I'm gonna be wrestling in a soggy boots. You know how hard it is to wrestle. So he's like, oh, I don't like that.
Hogan said this should be
Yeah,
good as he was leaving. I can't remember if I
I
actually
will be
brought
right
that up.
back.
Okay. Now we have Billy Kidman backstage. Kidman is watching the Sean Stasiak promo from last Monday's Raw, and it seems like Paul Heyman was getting his pot shots in at the competition. They're literally in the same company, but at this point, Vince McMahon wants the competition between his two shows, since now there's no actual competition, and at this point there literally wasn't. TNA had yet to open their doors at this point, but Billy Kidman is watching Sean Stasiak's promo from Monday night. He calls it the stupidest thing he's ever seen. That is when Hurricane walks in and he sees the promo, and his reaction is that he is glad that he and Billy Kidman are on SmackDown and not Raw. Hurricane asked Billy Kidman what's wrong, and that's when Kidman says that something is missing. He says nobody even knows who I am. I may be the cruiserweight champion, but nobody even knows who I am. And Hurricane says, "Well, listen, you're the cruiserweight champ. You have the coolest shooting star press in the world, but maybe we can do. Maybe I can help you." He essentially Hurricane says, "I can help you with this." So he whispers into Billy Kidman's ear, and Kidman essentially just does a cheek pop. He's like, "You want me to say how cool it is to be here in Houston?" And the crowd reacts. He whispers in his ear one more time. They get one more cheek pop. The crowd goes for it again, and that's when Hurricane whispers in his ear one more time, and Kidman says, "You want me to say that I'm glad to be with my tag team partner Hurricane?" And there is complete silence. Hurricane gets all upset about that. A bit of a entertaining bit of funniness there. Um, and then Kidman says he appreciates Hurricane's help, but when he's done with Tajiri, he's going to give the fans something to talk about. And obviously, Tajiri is Billy Kidman's opponent for Sunday on Backlash. They open that show with the Cruiserweight title match. Hurricane, as Kidman leaves after saying this, Hurricane gets his little cheek pop in after that by saying that the Astros will win the World Series. The crowd pops for that.
Well,
Yeah, 2002
event,
Astros.
yeah, I mean, eventually they do. I mean, they make it to the World Series in a few years. So
And yeah, 3 years after this, they did get to the World Series, but
this would have been the '02 Astros. They
I
have
looked.
Minute Maid.
I looked it up. They were second place in
Yeah,
their division that year.
because this was right around the time I think they'd start getting good because
Yeah,
they lose the NLCS in '04, then went in
right.
in '05.
Yeah. So yeah, Hurricane and Kidman. It was an okay segment. You had the trading pot shots with a competition that's not really competition, which is okay. You're literally both in the same company, but what are you gonna do? Mr. McMahon, Vince McMahon wanted competition, and that was his way of creating competition. And well, Paul Heyman took that and ran with it, especially with this segment right here. The cheap pop thing was really funny, especially Hurricane's reaction to the
He,
crowd doing nothing to him. My tag team partner Hurricane.
he could
That
have
that
said
was
something about the Texans.
he could have. They were just about to start
Yeah,
later that year.
this David Carr guy is going to really leave the Texans deep.
So yeah, outside of like the cheap pops thing, not much else to talk about. It's literally just a promo where they make fun of Sean Stasiak, and then Kidman, why are you so down? Oh, I'll cheer you up here. Just tell the fans that you're happy to be in their city. Yeah, well, what do you think
Cheap
about?
out.
Yeah, what do you think about this segment here?
It's a time wasting. It's just hey guys, we got a few minutes here to kill. Just have a little backstage interaction.
Yeah,
Just remind people like you that Billy Kidman you have a match Sunday. So
yeah, and the Astros will win the World Series later
yeah,
on.
so obviously the 2002 Astros versus
Yeah.
the Angels. Everyone
The the
remembers that.
the Astros had the rally monkey go.
Yes,
And now we
the rally trash cans.
oh boy, you went there. Now we have the rally trash cans. Now we have Mr. McMahon backstage. He's sitting in his office on his phone, telling somebody that Backlash is going to be a great show. And That is when Hulk Hogan and Stacy Keibler walk in. Stacy Keibler looking amazing as usual. Mr. McMahon says that Hulk, you look good, and he then asks Stacy if he looks good, to which Stacy agrees. And then that's when Stacy essentially starts doing the Hulk Hogan, what Hulk Hogan was just doing to Stacy Keibler. As Stacy just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Stacy's enamored with Hulk Hogan. She's like, you know what? I've never been this close to him before. Your arms look amazing. To which Mr. McMahon just says, Stacy, and Stacy just goes, not as amazing as yours, Mr. McMahon. And then Mr. McMahon asks Stacy to go get him a drink of water. He looks at Hulk Hogan and just says, she's new. Hogan says, obviously. Which the absolute disrespect to Stacy Keibler there. Both Mr. McMahon and Hulk Hogan need to be banned. They're both banned.
Well, Hogan said, sorry, brother, I'm not really into Stacy Keibler. I prefer my daughter.
So Stacy leaves. McMahon says to Hulk Hogan that he's feeling. Oh wait, is this the wrong? Oh shit, this is the wrong. I screwed up. Damn it.
You fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up.
Is this the right segment? Hold on. Oh no. I think this is the right segment. Hold on, let me just make sure. Oh no, I'm right. This is the right segment. Yeah, this is the only backstage segment that Hogan and Mr. McMahon had. I screwed up. Never mind. I didn't screw up. I screwed up by thinking I screwed up.
You screwed. You created the screw paradox where you thought you screwed up, but you didn't. Therefore, you checked if you did. Therefore, you did.
Well, this show was from Houston, so we had to screw it up a little bit.
Yes.
McMahon says he's feeling deja vu as Hogan has been on a run of the likes we haven't seen since right before Hulkamania started. The fans have been getting behind Hogan the same way that they were back in 1984. And Hogan, he says Hogan, let me see something. Oh yeah, he can't. Mr. McMahon can't help but wonder if all of this is happening again. That if on this Sunday the Hulkamaniacs will help Hogan create a rebirth of Hulkamania. He says on this Sunday Hogan will come face to face with his own destiny, and Mr. McMahon wonders that is it perception on his part, McMahon's part, or is it reality? And he then asks Hogan, what you gonna do when reality comes down on you? This the whole stuff with McMahon and Hogan here once Stacy leaves, which I'm not saying the addition of Stacy was a bad thing because it definitely wasn't, but the whole thing with McMahon talking about the deja vu and the stuff with reality and perception, this was a really good promo. And I was the Mr. McMahon character. You say what you will about Vince, he obviously is not a good human being. We know that, but when it came to portraying the Mr. McMahon character, he always did a great job of it, and we saw that here in this little promo, this little backstage segment with Hogan. Your thoughts on Deja Vu?
Deja Vu. I thought it was fine. This is obviously the build. Obviously, there it's going to be Hogan versus McMahon at Judgment Day, right?
Yeah, right.
See, this is the actual road to. We're actually on the road to WrestleMania 19, guys. This is actually just a big swerve.
We're just gonna go from Backlash 2002. We're gonna go the road to Judgment Day. After that, the road to what's after Judgment Day? King of the Ring. We're gonna go from here to WrestleMania 19. That's the whole
that hit. We're gonna hit all the UK shows. We're gonna get the global warming show.
I do have that on DVD. So,
all the house show pay-per-views.
Now we have, so all of a sudden these things are back, and I'm very happy about that. We have the overdrive of the night.
Oh God!
And since what's wrong with the overdrive of the night?
I thought you meant the maneuver.
No, the overdrive of the night, and obviously we just saw Stacy Keibler and Mr. McMahon in the prior segment, and that's your overdrive of the night. Last week's segment with Stacy and Vince and Mr. McMahon, where Stacy was hired as Mr. McMahon's secretary. Or personal assistant, excuse me. Now we have Chavo Guerrero and Tajiri taking on Hurricane and Billy Kidman. Not much of a match here. I give it 1 star. Not much really to talk about.
What a random ass match.
Well, I guess Chavo and Hurricane being involved is very random, but this was to build the Cruiserweight title match, and I guess having them in the ring, Tajiri and Billy Kidman being them, without them actually facing each other one-on-one. So that was the thinking on this. So they had to add like 2 other cruiserweights, make it a tag match, but it did feel a little random.
Yeah,
even with the segment prior with Hurricane and Billy Kidman, but Tajiri won this with a buzzsaw kick on Hurricane, and then after the match, he kicks Kidman in the back of the head to obviously, you got to build the Cruiserweight title match for the pay-per-view. And then he berates Tori Wilson again as they are walking up the ramp. He's just yelling at her in Japanese, so we have no idea what he is saying. Thoughts on this, as you said, somewhat random tag match here?
It was fine. We got Chavo here, who's not going to be relevant again until July. So, June, whenever Mysterio debuts.
I think you're right, July.
Davey faces Chavo that one time, and then he disappears again until Eddie's ready for Los Guerreros.
Yeah. Now we go back to last Thursday. They recap Mark Henry's feat of strength, which, if you remember correctly, he put his he faced, or he leaned himself against the wall, put his feet up on a car, and put the car pedal to the metal of the car. And for 30 seconds, if Mark Henry could keep that car without moving, he wins. Whoever bet on him won the bet, as everybody had a bet on him. And he was able to do it, but Test obviously kept pressing the pedal, and that hurt Mark Henry. And that essentially Test was the bad guy and all that. So now we have Mark Lloyd introducing Mark Henry. And Lloyd asks Mark Henry, what feat of strength does Henry have for us this week? To which Mark Henry says he is going to lift a car and make the wheels move. So the wheels would come up. Lloyd says that the locker room has a bet going on again, to which Mark Henry says that's none of his business. He's just here to prove he's the world's strongest man. Henry walks over to the car, and that is when Test and pretty much everybody who you saw last week, including Farouk, they all come down. Test is trying to say that somehow the car was rigged. He's like, there's no engine. Let me see if there's an engine in here. And Farouk's like, what do you think? The car was made by Mattel? Great line there by Farouk. So once Tess realizes that the car is legit, and this is actually a legitimate car that Henry is about to pick up, Tess is like, you know what? I'm going to pick this car up myself. And Farouk is like, then do it then. And Tess goes and attempts to lift the car. It ain't budging at all. And that's when Tess said, I've worked out like I think he said like 3 times. He said like 3, 4, or 5 times today. So he's like, I'm not ready. And
Oh, that's understandable then.
yeah, exactly. So then
Yeah.
he puts up $100 saying that Mark Henry will not lift this. Farouk obviously takes the bet. Um, and then that's when Henry goes, sits, is exactly where the same spot where tested, which right there in the driver's side, and you pick not the driver's side, the other side, the passenger side, and he lifts the car up that way. And Henry, this unlike Test, is able to do it. Test gives Farouk the money. Farouk immediately realizes, wait a minute, you shortchanged me here. This ain't $100. And then before Farouk can even confront Test about that, Test attacks Farouk, and that's the end of that segment. Yeah,
Should have been,
this,
should have been like, this is Canadian dollars.
yeah, this is gonna. uh, I get that they're trying to show that Mark Henry's the world's strongest man, so I understand that. And well, we're also creating a bit of a feud, an
Yeah.
undercard feud here between Test and Farouk, so I get all that. Not too much of a special segment to me. This is
Well,
literally
Mark's not gonna say no to this because this is all this is all legit stuff that
absolutely,
he.
absolutely.
That wasn't a gimmick. That wasn't a gimmick car. He legit lifts all this. Like
Oh,
last week, him pushing the car back was obviously a little rigged because of the
oh yeah, no,
the revving, the revving. But no, this is a legit car that he lifts.
no, it
People,
absolutely is.
I think people kind of tend to think that Mark Henry calling himself the world's strongest man is like, oh, that's just a gimmick. No, the man is fucking crazy
I
strong.
mean, he did not get that nickname from the WWE. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
He got that nickname from actually winning strongman
yeah,
competitions, which I don't follow that stuff, but like it's legit. He is a
yeah.
legit yeah, he's legit the world's strongest man. Um,
Dude is overpowered.
but yeah, not much to talk about with that segment, except yeah, they're doing something with Test and Farouk here, which does not lean over. It does not move over to the pay per view. By the way, another they're building up Rikishi and
They're
what was
building up. They're building up rebellion right now. Probably
I guess so. They're
we
building
are
up
on the road to rebellion now. I guess.
they're building up Rikishi and Albert, and they do not see each other at Backlash. They do not see each other at Judgment Day. So
He
these are, and then they're building up Test and Farouk, who do not see each other on Judgment Day. These are just essentially feuds to pick up to make time on the show. Fill time on the show, and I just something just did not feel right for a go home show to me. We're not about to obviously give our overall reviews just yet, but I'm just gonna say for a go home show,
Frig's not liking the show, folks.
I wouldn't say I'm not liking it. I'm just saying for a go home show, I just feel like it could have been a little better. So now we got, and you did essentially everything you just said was
Yeah,
giving your thoughts on. Okay, yeah, just wanted to make sure because I didn't ask, but you essentially did just give your thoughts.
yeah.
Hogan in ring, we have Hulk Hogan coming out, and he says he believes he can become champ again. He says he used to take the undisputed, well, not the undisputed title, but the WWE title for granted because he thought he'd have it his whole life. And he says he does not feel that way no more. He doesn't take the belt for granted anymore, especially seeing that this may just be his final chance to win the title again. And it ultimately was. Like, Hogan may have stayed around and wrestled for a long time after this, but in terms of being in a WWE title match, he never was after Judgment Day, where he drops the title. Spoiler alert. Double spoiler alert. He wins the title at
Well,
Backlash.
no, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wins it at Insurrection.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's gonna win it in front of a UK pay-per-view
Oh
audience.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, he said this is his final chance. This may be his final chance to win the title again, and he has to do it to complete his comeback. The comeback story of all comeback stories. Triple H may have something to say about that, but
It's like Triple H is like, I came back from my knee completely
yeah,
tear off the bone. Brother, you just came back from WCW and waiting out your contract from AOL.
yeah.
The fuck do you mean comeback story?
Yeah, then Chris Jericho comes out. He essentially calls Hulk Hogan a joke, and he says he's not the has been. He being Jericho, he says I'm not the has been that everybody thinks I am, as that is you, Hogan. Jericho says Hulkamania ended around the time that the Rubik's Cube and Where's the Beef ended. That's before both of our times, so you know. uh, and Tro was like negative, 13 by when that was going on. The old man. Oh, by the way, the young man that he's. Excuse me. By the way, in the opening match, I should mention after Maven hit that diving crossbody and got the pin,
Thing.
Tro ran in, put the beatings on Maven, but to no effect, no avail, and Maven just turned around. All of a sudden, a table was in the ring. Maven set the table on fire and powerbomb Tro through the table. I don't know if this Billy and Chuck thing is working out. Billy Chuck and Rico thing is working out for you here.
Well,
Every
you
time
know what?
you're
If you come to the draft party for the Islanders, I have a flaming table with your name on
um, do we have a draft card with Michael Mesa's name on it?
it. I don't know. I think we can put you and Ledecky through a flaming table. That'd be pretty entertaining.
Don't forget, I am literally the reason why the Islanders hired Matthew Darsh. Don't forget that.
You know, you keep
It
on
was
saying that, but I literally passed UBS, and like 10 minutes later, they announced it.
but
So
did you take a picture of UBS when you passed it?
no,
See, I drove. I was in a car.
I
I
was
took a
told by
picture.
Darsh not to send the photo. It would expose everything.
I took a picture of UBS Arena, and just hours later, Matthew
That could have
Darsh
been from
was
any
like,
time. That could have been Google imaged.
"Nope, it was not Google Image."
Like we all know that your background isn't actually there. It's all just green screen.
So, yeah,
Even the
Jericho
even
said
the even the hat's green screened.
if it was green
You,
screen,
you, you have you have very high tech
the
green
most
screen.
high tech green screen of all time.
It's all AI. Everything is AI.
Yeah. So Jericho says that Hulkamania went out around the same time that the Rubik's Cube and Where's the Beef ended. And he says it's not fair that Hogan has a title shot when Chris Jericho doesn't even have a match for Backlash. Hogan has a title shot at Backlash, and Jericho, who was just the first ever undisputed champion, what doesn't even have a match for the next pay per view when even Maven
Maven.
has a match. um, so yeah, Jericho doesn't have a match. He says that Hogan has done nothing for the WWE. All but outside of all those T-shirt and merchandise and all that, and your little cartoon, what have you ever done for the WWE? To which Michael Cole's like, is he serious? And Jericho says he was the first undisputed champion, and Triple H stole that from him. But he also said, and he despises Triple H for that. But he also says that he cannot wait for Triple H to beat Hulk Hogan because at least Triple H won his championship by beating a real champion in Chris Jericho. Hulk Hogan gets tired of Jericho's shit and just tells him, come down to the ring. Jericho goes down, says, I've been waiting to do this, and Hogan just decks him before he can even finish that. And that is when Kurt Angle comes down and they start double teaming Hogan. Edge does a run in and he essentially saves the day for Hogan. The Hogan stuff was pretty good. It was a decent little segment. You had Jericho in there again. A good heel is a guy that believes what he is saying, and no matter how wild it is. And Chris Jericho saying that Hulk Hogan has done nothing for the WWE when Jericho's the first ever undisputed champion. He believes that as the heel that he is, and I thought that was a decent segment, and also you're building up you're not only building up the two pay-per-view matches that are involved here, or at least, well, I guess Jericho,
One,
yeah, one
two, yeah,
with in a way
yeah.
Hogan sort of you're building up his match, but you're also building up the main event, which is Hogan and Triple H taking on Edge. Excuse me. Wait, what is it again? Hogan and Triple H taking on Jericho and Kurt Angle. So I thought that was a decent segment. What do you think about it?
That was good. Try to get sympathy for Hogan. And
Yes.
Jericho just coming out just to bitch and bitch and bitch.
Yes. Now we have Slurpee Cups. WWE 7-Eleven Slurpee Cup promo featuring RVD. If you have not seen that, well, you can watch it on. I was going to say YouTube it, but you can watch it on this episode on Peacock. It was a pretty funny promo, pretty funny commercial. So yeah, that was cool. Now we cut to Mr. McMahon backstage with Edge. He is extremely upset about Edge saving Hulk Hogan moments ago. So he tells Edge to leave. That is when Edge gets in Mr. McMahon's face and just starts yelling at him. And then he says, "Look, Mr. McMahon, you look scared. Is it that you're scared of what I'm going to do to your boy Kurt Angle at Backlash?" But he says, if you want me to leave, I'll leave. And then Mr. McMahon then tells Stacy Keibler to go send for Triple H to come into his office. Again, not much to really talk about here. I mean, I guess, but obviously Mr. McMahon's going to be upset about this because Hogan, obviously, Edge helping Hogan. So I get that. But what do you think about this little segment here? And at least Edge, you get to see some emotion from Edge, which we obviously know Edge can show emotion. But I don't know. At this time, again, he was still very young. So he didn't really get to see moments like that.
We get to see Edge. We get to see Edge finally show an emotion that's not just "Whoa, surfer, bro, shaka, brah." This was, "What the fuck are you doing, McMahon?"
Yeah.
But still, he couldn't. He doesn't have the rated R-ness in him yet. Though.
Yeah.
This is
It was.
PG. This is PG 13 Edge.
Yeah, it was a good segment, but it was really quick though.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Good little segment.
And now we have Farouk versus Test, and it's very funny considering the way we were talking about on our last SmackDown review, how Test the whole thing with having immunity and how they never did anything with that, and they should have done something when it came to the immunity with what he did to Mark Henry, where you can have one of the obviously the problem with that is Mr. McMahon obviously being a heel. But if he was on Raw and you would do that, you have Ric Flair come up to him and be like, how can you do that? You may have just taken out Mark Henry, so you're fired. And Test just be like, you can't fire me. I have immunity. None of that happens, obviously. The funny thing about that is they didn't even mention the immunity on the show last week. Michael Cole brought it up a couple of times here that Test has immunity. And it's like, Oh, well, really? Well, why isn't he using it? You know, he can do whatever he wants. Well, it doesn't seem like it. You know, there's nothing really going on with Tess, but yeah, not much going on in this match. I give it 1 star. Farouk wins with a roll up, and he puts his feet on the ropes. After that, he puts his foot on the rope, so he essentially cheats. And what they're doing here is, well, the cheater got cheated essentially. So good for him. After the match, though, Test hits a big boot on Farouk. So essentially, this story that isn't even going to be on a pay per view is continuing. Um, Triple H backstage, and Stacy walks in and just stares at him angrily. She just looks down on him. He's sitting down reading a magazine. Stacy just walks in and just stares at him angrily. And that is when Triple H just looks up and says, Stacy, I know you think I'm hot, but you can't keep barging into my dressing room staring at me. To which Stacy says, as if. Then all of a sudden, Triple H just gets up and takes his shirt off. And again, like I said, Stacy just doing to Triple H what she got mad at Hulk Hogan doing to her earlier in the show. She's just staring at Triple H, getting all excited, trying to say something, but she just continuously is getting distracted by Triple H, and she finally then comes out and says, "Mr. McMahon wants you in his office right now. Come with me, and you have to go to Mr. McMahon's office." To which Triple H says, "Stacy, you can't just make me come by asking." Which crazy, crazy ass comment there by Triple H. And
He's gonna make me come by asking.
to which Triple H then says, just tell the boss that I'll be there when I get there. Now we have thoughts on this. Let's see. It was funny when he just like is like you can't just. I know you think I'm hot, but you can't just barge into my locker room and stare at me. That was funny, but I could have done without the next comment there. But other than that, it was kind of a funny segment. What are your thoughts on
I thought it was fine.
it?
Yeah, just kind of keep the show going on.
Yeah, and obviously setting up a later segment between
Yeah.
Triple H and Mr. McMahon. Now we have Charmel, second week in a row. At least I think. She may have been on some of the other SmackDowns leading up to this pay per view, but obviously before the last SmackDown, we hadn't done a show in like a month and a half. So Charmel interviewing Hardcore Holly, she asked for Hardcore's thoughts on his upcoming match with DDP. Holly says, "What kind of stupid question is that? And who hired you? Who hired you, Charmel?" Maybe the same guy who hired Hardcore Holly. I mean, the guy who wants Triple H in his office right now. The guy who kind of pays for everybody's paychecks. But Hardcore then says, "Him whooping DDP's ass. That's the thought." But his second thought then is DDP laying flat on the ground, or I guess flat on the mat, while Hardcore Holly kicks his teeth down his throat. Then that is where DDP enters, and Hardcore says, "What the hell are you smiling about?" Because obviously DDP always got the smile on his face.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm smiling because you, Hardcore Holly, find it funny to just bully people who are just doing their job. And your bullying is pissing me off. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're bullying." Well, what he meant was it's a good thing that you're pissing me off. But that's so it sounds so crazy.
Thank you for bullying people.
Yeah,
That's not a bad thing. And Hardcore always took that to her like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Tough Enough season 3, and I'm gonna bully the hell out of that Matt Campbell-Kelly guy.
Oh boy, yeah.
Daniel Pewter, welcome to WWE. I'm gonna slap the hell out of you.
again, this is a go home show to the pay per view, and we have just so much randomness. This may be I will say this. This may be random, but this is a bit of a special match, and I will get to the reasons why. That is, there's obviously DDP and Hardcore Holly about to wrestle each other. I'm going to tell you why it's special in a minute, but this is why this show just felt a little off for me. It's like DDP versus Hardcore Holly, and what else we got? Farouk and Tess. All this and leading up to the go home to the pay per view here. I feel like other stuff should have they could have done better, a little better with this show. And again, I know it may sound like I'm going to give this a bad rating, but it won't be a bad rating. I'm just going to say that, but it's not going to be the normal 8.5, 9.5 like I normally give shows from these days. What are your thoughts on DDP, Hardcore Holly, and Charmel's segment here?
We have time to kill. Quick, cut a promo before this random ass match.
Yeah, that just showed I think they had a lot of time to kill, which for a go home show to a pay per view that has a first time ever and first time and only time truly between two of the biggest names that the
Triple
industry
H and
has.
Hogan faced each other after this on
When?
a random ass SmackDown.
In '02?
Yeah,
Okay, well
because a couple of years ago I made a joke that Triple H steals Wake at night, knowing he never got his win back over Hogan. And
oh.
then people pointed out to me, no, when Hogan was feuding with Jericho once, at some point,
Are you sure
Hogan,
it
I mean,
wasn't
Triple H gets his win back.
are you sure it wasn't like a tag match where
Nope.
Triple H pins Hogan? It was a one-on-one. Okay.
It was a one-on-one, probably around
Interesting.
June or something.
Okay. But still, this is the big match
Yeah,
when you think Hogan versus Triple H, you think of Backlash, and this is the go home to this. And I'm telling you, and if we're looking at competition here, again, they're both. It's literally the same company, but if you want to talk about them being in competition, which ever since the brand extension, obviously there's always been like, well, who do you like, Raw or SmackDown? For this week, I will say Raw was better than SmackDown. Raw did a much better job of building up their side of Backlash as we were going in to the pay per view here at the go home shows here. But now we have hold on, Mr. McMahon waiting with Stacy Keibler for Triple H. She essentially just tells Stacy, "Where is he?" She says he'll be here in a minute, and then that's when he walks in. Stacy leaves. Obviously, Triple H comes in. Mr. McMahon tells Triple H that he has been to hell and back, but he wants to know if Triple H is capable of driving a spear into the heart of Hulkamania. Is Triple H cold enough to dampen the fires of the greatest comeback in sports entertainment? He's literally saying this to Triple H. The greatest comeback in sports entertainment.
greatest comeback ever.
He says, if not, Triple H can take solace in the fact that Hogan as champ, he'll have to wrestle on both shows. And if he watched the last, well, if he watched, he was on it. I mean, if you just put it in these last two shows, I'd rather be on Raw. Let's just be honest. He said he'll have to wrestle on both shows, but Triple H will be exclusive to SmackDown, and Triple H is just standing there like, this is not that's not what I want. He doesn't seem to care about that at all. But Mr. McMahon thinks that it's the greatest thing in the whole entire world. And honestly, these Mr. McMahon segments have been one of the best thing going on this show. To be honest, I thought this was a really good segment. I like Triple H's reaction of because Mr. McMahon is acting like, well, if you don't win the title, at least you get to work for me. And obviously Triple H is going to sit there like, why is this like a consolation prize? Why am I supposed to be happy about this? So I thought that was a good segment. What are your thoughts on the consolation prize for Triple H?
I thought it was good. Try to show that Vince isn't rooting for Hogan to win, but he's also
He's rooting.
he's not viewing it as like end of the world scenario because then
Yeah.
then he'd get Triple H and Hogan would have to be on both shows.
And that means that Triple H will not be on Ric Flair's show, which
Yeah.
But then again, Hulk Hogan has to be on Ric Flair's show, so it's a loss either way. It sounds like because Ric Flair's getting a star regardless. Hardcore Holly versus Diamond Dallas Page. I said I agree with that. Look, this should not really be on the show, but the reason why I said this was a special match is because this is the final match WWE wise of Diamond Dallas Page's career.
Wow. So he gets hurt a year.
I believe so. Yeah, this was it. This match with DDP here.
Holly took that advice a little too seriously.
Yeah.
And hold on now, Frank.
Go ahead.
And now DDP was down here, but he's not out.
He's down, but he's not out. With this being his final match, they actually interview Bradshaw right after this match, and Bradshaw says DDP may be down, but
he's not out.
He's not out. And it takes about 2 years for him to show up in TNA until the next time we will see it. He's down, but he's not out.
Not out.
See him in 2 years.
There you go. So we were able to make this match somewhat bearable.
Holly wins the match with what Michael Cole calls the best drop kick in the business.
David's like, the fuck do you mean best drop kick?
And DDP got his revenge afterwards. So at least DDP went off WWE television on top by at least not in terms of he lost the match, but at least he beat the shit out of Holly after the match. So, now we have Kurt Angle backstage. Jericho walks over to him and thoughts on the match?
Meh.
Exactly. Why is this on the go home to the pay-per-view? Why are we focusing on DDP, Hardcore Holly, Tess, may he rest in peace, Farouk? Mark Henry doing the feat of strength is cool, but like this is what we're focusing on the go home to the pay-per-view. Like it felt off to me. So Kurt Angle backstage, Jericho walks over and says what happened earlier, again the whole segment with him and Hogan where that led to the brawl that ensued. What happened earlier was just more reason for Angle to beat the hell out of Hulk Hogan, or was more of a reason to beat the hell out of Edge at Backlash, and just more of a reason for both of them to beat the hell out of Triple H and Hulk Hogan tonight. Jericho says that when Kurt Angle locks the ankle lock in Triple H, he will suck the life out of Triple H. Before he could finish that, though, Kurt Angle said, "Whoa, what did you just say?" He said, "You'll put the ankle lock in on." No, before that, or I guess it wasn't. No, or yeah, he's like, "Oh, he said this." No, before that. Yeah, like no, before that, and that's when Jericho says, "Well, you'll suck the life out," and Angle's like, "No, don't say that. I don't suck." He just gets angry. He's like, "I don't suck." He's just pissed off by the
paranoid.
He's paranoid and pissed off at the sound of the word "sucks," and he just continuously started to say something, and every time he would say something, the crowd, just like the "what" chant, would just say "you suck," and Angle just got so pissed off he just said, "You know what? Let's just go." Thoughts on that? I thought that was entertaining. Kurt Angle getting all
Quick
upset.
little comedy segment.
Yeah, quick little comedy segment. Nothing wrong with that. It's much better than all the undercard stuff we've been getting on the go home show to a freaking pay per view. Um, what were your thoughts on it?
Oh, I said quick little, good little comedy segment.
Yeah, it's about as much as you can say. Reverend Devon comes out, and he is announced by Tony Chimmel as Mr. McMahon's spiritual advisor. To which Michael Cole says, "When did Mr. McMahon become spiritual?" Reverend Devon says he stands before us, talking to the crowd. Obviously, I wasn't in the crowd, but he stands before us as a humble servant of the man above. He said 2 weeks ago, a great prophet came to him and said he must leave the WWE and find himself. He says he came back 1 week later, finding not only himself but the man above. He says he found joy and redemption and peace of mind. He thanks the prophet for showing him the light and a way. Or show him the light and the way. The great prophet, that great prophet being Mr. McMahon. Okay, well, this is all obviously leading to a different Backlash, Backlash 2006.
Yeah, long-term story booking.
Yeah, long term. There you go. He says that they can show us the light. They being Devon and the prophet. They can show us the light if we let us. As they are, as we they Devon and the prophet are the sheep, and we are merely just the wolves. He promises if we let him show us the light, he will take everything to the man above and show him what redemption needs to be done. If he did that, if he did it for him, if the man above did it for Devon, he can do it for all of us. Tro, we can be saved.
I'm already saved every day of my life.
I thought this was great. Like I said in our last SmackDown review, I love Reverend Devon. Reverend Devon was a great character. And
Yeah.
Devon, who I think was a reverend, I think he said he was a reverend once, right? Or
Probably.
I think he did. Well, he played this so well. He was talking like a reverend where after you say something, you go, ha! Like you will be saved, ha! He was doing that, and yeah, that was great. Definitely a great segment there by Reverend Devon. I will say this though, and I will say this because while it was a great segment, who did Reverend Devon face at Backlash?
Nobody.
And granted, this was a bit of a short segment, but it's like again, you're giving so much time. You're giving more time to not more time, but you're giving a lot of time to guys that were not featured on the show, as opposed to using some of that time to put to guys who actually were on the show. That's why this show just felt a little bit off. Your thoughts on Reverend Devon and the Prophet saving
It's
us?
just another time waster.
Agreed, but like I said, while I do agree with that,
Yeah, it's good, but
Devon was great. Go ahead.
yeah, it was a great segment, but it's just a time waster.
Yeah, I agree. He's not on the pay per view, so
No.
we get a double dose of the night segment here, or not segment, but the commercial. The whack of the night is Hulk Hogan and Triple H from the end of SmackDown last week, where Kurt Angle bumped into Triple H, which means Triple H bumped into Hogan. Hogan thought that Triple H bumped him, so big bootleg drop. Hogan thought, well, he did bump him, but Hogan thought that Triple H did it on purpose. So, big boot and a leg drop for Triple H. Now we have our main event, which is sponsored by the first place New York Mets. Want to be in first place? Put on the jersey.
BMX.
You're damn right. And thank you again to the Milwaukee Brewers for getting the job done this
Yep.
weekend
Go,
against the
Pack, go.
No, 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 no. I didn't say thank you to them. You're gone. He's banned.
Go, Pacers, go. Go, Pacers,
No,
go.
no, 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 not, nope, nope, not for this next week. Not for the next week. You're banned again. Thunder and 4, baby. Thunder and 4.
Go, Pack, go. Go,
Nope,
Pacers, go.
nope. Anyway, Triple H and Hulk Hogan taking on Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle. The match itself, it really wasn't a match. It got thrown away after Hulk Hogan tried to hit he didn't try to hit Triple H. He tried to hit either Jericho or Angle. They moved out of the way. Triple H got hit in the head with it by mistake. So Triple H would retaliate, hit Hogan in the head with the chair, and the show went
Nasty
off.
headshot. Nasty chair shot, too.
Yeah. And the show went off the air with Triple H standing tall with the belt
Yep.
in hand as
Which is,
Hogan. Go ahead.
which is an obvious tell who's going to win at Backlash.
Yes, with Hogan laying on the mat, obviously. In the middle of the match, at one point, Edge ran Kurt Angle out of the arena, so to build up that. And so that's the end of the show. Triple H stands tall. I like the ending. Obviously, you're building the pay-per-view. I mean, obviously, we're not going to end the show with a couple mid-card guys. I mean, most of the show has too much mid-card stuff, in my opinion. But obviously, they're not crazy enough to end the show with some random match. But yeah, they ended the show really well. So your thoughts on the tag match here and the ending?
It was a fine means to the end, to an
Yeah,
end.
I agree with that.
It gives Triple H that little payback that he needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So while I do have issues with the show, and I will sit here and tell you it could have been better. It could have been way better. But the stuff they did with Hogan, Mr. McMahon's stuff, all the stuff that was involved with the guys who actually are on the pay-per-view was pretty good. But there felt like there was a lot of filler on the show, and that brought it down for me. So overall rating out of 10, I'll start 7.5. Still an okay show, but it could have been a lot better. Tro, what is your overall rating?
I give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Uh, shit. We just did. I forgot. We have match of the night and segment of the night. I'm just going to. Okay, I do have a match of the night. Actually, it's the opener. The opener was. That's just crazy. A lot of the other matches. The main event was a throwaway. The main event was just building up the pay per view. So that wasn't really even a match. It got thrown out late. I mean, it got thrown out, so not much to say about that. The 6-man tag match, the crowd was interested in it, and it was kind of fun. So I'll give it to that segment of the night. I'm going to go with. I'm gonna go with the Mr. McMahon Hogan segment, the Deja Vu segment. I'm gonna give it to that. But there is nothing that truly stands out.
Yeah.
Technically, for match of the night, it stands out just because there really isn't another choice. But for segment of the night, it's a toss up between Hogan, the Hogan Triple H one, and Hogan Mr. McMahon one, and Triple H McMahon one. But there's nothing that was, wow, this was special. This was segment or match of the night. Like nothing that really stands out. So, Tro, do you have a match and segment of the night?
Match is the opener. Segment is probably the first Hogan Stacy interaction.
Okay. All right. So tomorrow we cover Backlash. I cannot wait to cover this show. Like I said, it was the first home video WWE home video that I ever purchased. Back in 2003, my dad took me to the local FYE, which is right around where UBS now stands. And he said I can get a tape, a WWE tape, and
That's a big ass FYE.
it not literally where UBS is right
No,
now.
no, no. That's just that
In
they can't put. It actually before UBS was called UBS. It was just FYE. FYE.
no, it was
Three
in the
three stories
it was
of
in the
FYE.
it was in the general area, and I was actually in. It's like a mini shopping center,
They
and I
tore
was
down FYE to build UBS Arena.
no, I was
Yeah.
in the. I was in the general. I was actually in that shopping center the day I took the picture of UBS Arena. Yeah, obviously there's no longer the FYE. The FYE's been gone for years, but yeah, a few times in 2003, my dad took me to that FYE and brought WWE pay per view tapes every time we went. First time was Backlash '02. I also would later get Survivor Series '02 and Royal
Yeah.
Rumble '03. Got No Way Out '03. Got WrestleMania 19. That WrestleMania 19 tape I played so many times that it broke on me, but thankfully I now have the DVD. Um, but yeah, I cannot wait to talk about Backlash. We will definitely get to that tomorrow. Any final thoughts, Tro, on the show tonight?
Let's just get to Backlash.
I agree. We have completed the road to Backlash, and we will be reviewing Backlash tomorrow. Thank you for anybody who has watched this. If you enjoy it, please like and subscribe, and hit the 10 bell salute on that
Yep.
notification bell. But just make sure that when you're done with that, the notifications are on.
Yes.
So we will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching.